Artificial intelligence is no longer a theoretical concept, but a transformative technology which is changing everything. It's changing how we live, work and play. In 2024, the sheer scale, possibility of what AI can do has many experts guessing. But there is one person who is considered the most authoritative voice on AI. In 2011, he founded the Oxford Martin program on the impacts of future technology and is the founding director of the Future of Humanity Institute at Oxford University. In 2009 and 2015, he was included in Foreign Policy's top 100 global thinkers list. We are talking about Nick Bostrom, who is considered highly influential in the emergence of concerns about AI in the rationalist community. Bostrom is the author of over 200 publications and has written 2 books and co-edited 2 others. He is also a New York Times bestseller and was recommended by Elon Musk and Bill Gates, among others. And he's someone who has popularized the term superintelligence. He's our big newsmaker. Thank you so much for your time, Professor Bostrom. Thank you for speaking to NDTV. Let's do some crystal ball gazing here. Professor Bostrom, you are in fact the most watched TED speaker on artificial intelligence. I would be among those who would have watched that multiple times. What's your prediction for 2024? If I may rephrase it, your prediction for 2024 that others are still catching up on.
Well, I think even though people have updated a lot on AI predictions, and now it's a lot more common to think AI will be a big deal, I still feel expectations haven't yet caught up to reality. I think the machine intelligence transition will not just be another internet or another mobile internet or something. I think it will be much bigger ultimately. And so I think, there's still, I think, some catching up to do there in terms of expectations about how fast things will move once they really get rolling and how far this will ultimately go.
There are some predictions on job cuts. And in fact, there are reports that are suggesting that 90% of online content will be created by artificial intelligence by 2030. That is by the year 2030. So, are you seeing this as very disruptive idea? Is that how disruptive AI will be?
Well, it depends a little on how you count. So it's easy with generative AI to produce massive amounts of text. So you could put up websites with as much text as you want and pictures, but the quality is, I think, the important thing. I don't think 90% of quality weighted content will be produced by AI. In fact, I think it will probably be less than 1%. Even if you put up a lot of sort of search engine optimization web pages that nobody looks at that are produced by AI, maybe that could be a big fraction of the total number of letters on the internet. I don't think in 2023 that it will be a substantial part of the actual what's driving the conversation or what people are spending their time with.
Okay, so let me get to the question which is perhaps on everybody's mind. What is Professor Nick Bostrom's predictions for this year, 2024?
Well, I think that that we will continue to see scaling up of large language models with progress in multimodal capacities, more integration of pictures and video and speech generation and speech recognition, perhaps some progress in reasoning ability, and we'll get more evidence regarding whether the scaling hypothesis is true. Like, there is a question which we don't currently know the answer to, which is if you just keep making the current types of models bigger, adding parameters, training them for longer, like, will performance keep improving in pace or will it plateau? We don't know that yet, but I think we'll get more evidence regarding that in the coming year. And I expect it to remain a topic of widespread global interest, increasing conversations among leading policymakers. I think massive investments will be going into this as well. And so that would be my expectation. There's the possibility of a wild card with some algorithmic breakthroughs, suddenly making progress more rapid, but that could also take a number of more years before we have that.
Professor Bostrom, there are certain ethical questions which are being raised, in terms of ethics which must be followed, say in the space of academics or others.
I think there's like a wide range of important ethical questions that come up, ranging from issues that are more in the here and now, and then these other questions that come up once AI become even more capable. I think one cluster of ethical questions that we will have to wrestle with in the relatively near term is what I expect to be increasing use of AI for social companionship. So chatbots, maybe with visual interfaces as well, that could be used for friendship or for romantic purposes or for all kinds of other uses. And I think that might become a big thing. And then there will be questions about what the boundaries of that is. To what extent it substitutes for real human relationships, to what extent certain people might have like abusive attitudes or relationships to these AI avatars and characters, and how we should generally think about that, I think will become an increasing focus for social debate.
Yes, while we do know that AI can be really transformative in healthcare and in education sector, but to be specific in the social sphere, what are the challenges and the concerns?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it has huge potential in healthcare, beneficial uses, even current generation of language models like GPT-4. I think for many people, being able just to chat about their health issues, to get a preliminary view, or if they have had a conversation with their doctor and they want a second opinion, already now it's definitely good enough for that. And there is more a question whether regulators will be willing to approve this. I think it has a lot of potential there. And even more if you sort of train it more on medical data sets, I think the technology is already at the level where it would potentially be very useful, especially for diagnostic purposes.
And Professor Bostrom, recently in India there have been increased debate and concerns to do with deepfakes. There are several superstars whose deepfakes emerged, which led to them expressing concerns. The government of India has also expressed a lot of concerns. This is the year when over 40 countries are going to polls. In terms of elections, it's a crucial year. Politically, in the field of economics as well, because the policies will be impacted. Can AI alter election results in these countries which are going to polls? What impact do you see AI will have in these elections?
Yeah, I think ultimately it has. I mean, I don't know this year. I'm sure there will be a lot of stories about it because it's like everybody's keeping their eyes fixed on this, and even a slight use of AI to manipulate something that maybe didn't really make a big difference is still going to attract a huge amount of attention. I think, though, that humans are also already quite good at producing, propaganda and fake news and manipulative messages, and persuasion has been there's like whole industries with public relations and advertising and marketing. And so I don't know that the current generation of AI will substantially improve on that. I think on the margin, you could make more individually customized, say, marketing messages or pitches if you have information about people. So that might be one way that AI could be used. But I don't really expect it to be a game changer in electioneering over the next year or so.
Yes, and you've written a great deal about how we need to learn from each existential threat as we move forward, so that next time when it becomes more severe or perhaps more intelligent or more sophisticated, then the question is, who do you turn to?
Well, right now, all the leading AI research labs, the OpenAI, Anthropic, DeepMind, they all have research teams specifically focused on the question of AI alignment. That is trying to think ahead as these systems become increasingly capable. How can we still make sure that we have the ability to steer them, to control them, or to sort of make sure that they do what we intend for them to do? So by contrast with 10 years ago when I wrote this book, Superintelligence, when most people sort of ignore this or thought it's just like science fiction, like now it's actually a very active research field where a lot of the smartest people I know are now going into this AI alignment field. So that's, I think, what will be needed with respect to AI to make sure that they don't harm us. But then I think there are two additional challenges that we will also need to read. We will also need to make sure that we don't harm each other using AI tools, because obviously this technology could have wide application in military, law enforcement, terrorists, like facilitating the production of weapons of mass destruction, all of that, oppressing people, like that will need to be handled. And then a third big challenge, which has yet not received very much attention and still seems a bit fringy, but I think ultimately will become important, is how we can make sure that we don't harm the AIs themselves. Eventually, I think these will become entities with moral status, whether conscious or have other attributes that makes it important, not just that they don't harm us or that we don't harm each other using AI tools, but also that the future goes well for these digital minds that we will be creating.
So if these digital minds actually have an ideology, will they be also able to push their ideology?
Yeah, well, they might not all have the same ideology. I think in the medium term, you could imagine some hybrid ideological constructs where certain humans side with AI systems and push for certain agendas, and other humans maybe side with other AI systems and push different agendas, and some humans don't think we should do this AI thing at all, and other humans just think we should let 1,000 flowers bloom. And I think that these questions will become increasingly ideological, for better or worse, because I think it will start to be more recognized that how we deal with AI and what we do with it and who develops it for what purposes, with what constraints, will be a very important shaper of human society and the human future. So inevitably that will become a topic of great contention.
So, Professor Bostrom, if AI or artificial intelligence is inevitable, then should we be prepared for perhaps an AI-induced destruction as well?
Well, I mean, prepared for it is probably the wrong word. I think we should prevent AI-induced destruction. I think once the destruction is underway, it might be too late to do anything about it, and I don't think it would work to try to hide out in some bunker or anything like that. I think we need to get this right on the first try, which is part of what makes this challenge particularly difficult. But I do think that all long-term futures that are both realistic and really great for humanity does at some point involve the development of machine intelligence, including machine superintelligence. So I see it as a sort of portal through which humanity will at some point have to passage. And it would be a great tragedy if we forever foreclosed that future. But that's consistent with also thinking that there will be big risks in this actual transition, and that we should be super careful about how we go about it.
So you are of the opinion that humans will continue to be more intelligent than artificial intelligence, when artificial intelligence will also be about near human minds?
Not indefinitely, I don't think we will. AI is improving a lot faster than we are as a species. And there are fundamental limits to the amount of information processing that can be done by, a small organic brain. Whereas the hardware that powers AI intelligence is increasing much more rapidly. I mean, we have Moore's law. It's and there are huge investments to make faster and more semiconductors. And so I think the ultimate physical limits for information processing in machine substrate are far above what is possible in a biological substrate like a human brain.
So if I may ask you, Professor, which are the spaces that will be driven by artificial intelligence and which are the areas where they will compete?
Well, I mean, with job losses, one has to take into account that whilst there might be many tasks that can be automated with present or near future AI, a lot of jobs involve a bundle of different tasks. So just because you can automate some of these tasks, it doesn't necessarily mean you can get rid of the job altogether. You might still need the human to do the tasks that AIs can't yet do. But broadly speaking, jobs where you have easily measurable criteria for what counts as having succeeded at the job are easier to train AI models to do, whereas jobs where the objective function is harder to define, where it might take a long time to, figure out whether some decision was right or wrong, dealing with novel contexts, things that require high reliability, judgments under uncertainty, I think those will take longer to automate. And of course, right now, we also have a limitation regarding the physical aspects. Robotics has kind of been lagging behind the language capabilities.
Okay, since you are, I would say, authority on superintelligence, this is your concept. What are the dimensions of this idea of superintelligence?
Well, so superintelligence will impact everything, basically. But before it actually happens, once it's recognized that it's about to happen, I think that already will start to have significant impacts. In particular, investments obviously flowing into the infrastructure to enable superintelligence. We've already seen a significant surge in the market cap of various chip companies that manufacture or design the chips that are used to run these systems, and various startups that are trying to get into the game. And I think other factors as well that are used in this will, like big data centers, design chip manufacturing equipment, perhaps certain data sets, all of that could become quite valuable even before the actual full-fledged superintelligence has arrived.
So superintelligence posing existential risks, then will it be catastrophic?
Well, I think superintelligence certainly would pose existential risks that necessitates this investment in methods for scalable alignment. It's an interesting question whether AI capabilities short of superintelligence could also pose some sort of global catastrophic risks. And I alluded earlier to the need to do safety testing before deployment to make sure that the next generation of AI systems don't lend a hand to the manufacture of chemical or biological weapons. I think that's important. I think cybercrime and hacking is another area where it's possible that AIs that are not generally super intelligent but still have a specific capability in coding could pose concerns. I think also it might affect social dynamics by making it easier to do at-scale surveillance, sentiment analysis, censorship, propaganda, autonomous weapons. I think these are other types of applications that could have a sort of systemic impact at a global scale.
I have just a couple of more questions to you, Professor. What are your predictions for India, one of the largest democracy and also one of the fastest growing economies where AI is catching up on several aspects of daily lives?
Well, I think it's both a a challenge and an opportunity. On the one hand, you have the possibility of unemployment in many sectors from it being easier to automate tasks than to pay even low-waged workers to do them. On the other hand, it's also a new frontier. There is like not really that much of incumbents in this area. And so it's like a new field. Everybody's starting not exactly from square one, but from a relatively basic beginning. And I think ultimately this has the potential to benefit everybody, maybe the first comers particularly, but ultimately all of us. And so it could unleash an unprecedented wave of increased economic growth and productivity, great improvements in healthcare that could potentially become very cheap. I mean, training up a human doctor to serve like every village is very expensive and takes a long time, and it's going to be hard for everybody to get access to the best medical care in the world if humans have to do it. But if it's an AI system, it could be immediately rolled out to billions of people, basically for free. That could be a complete game changer in the provision of medical care. And you could go through other sectors as well, where this technology really could make a qualitative change to human life around the globe. And that would benefit everybody, but it would particularly benefit the people who are currently suffering the most or having the most difficulties or the greatest poverty, because the change made will be different. Like if you already are rich enough to afford, like, you know, private healthcare from the best clinics in the world, then maybe AI will be even better than that. But the lower the level you start from, the bigger the jump up.
So let me ask you, which are the countries to watch out for in terms of AI development and also its ability to handle risks more efficiently and in the space of policy as well?
Well, I think currently probably the United States and various companies there are at the leading edge. The UK has a DeepMind, which is owned by Alphabet, Google. So depending on whether you count that as a US company or a UK-based lab, China is investing heavily and has a lot of capabilities as well. So I think then there are many other countries that have various capabilities as well, but I think those are the places where we currently see sort of the leading edge systems being developed.
My last question to you. The name of the institute which you have founded has me extremely curious. Tell us, Professor Nick Bostrom, what's really the future of humanity then?
Well, we need a little bit more funding to really get the definitive answer to that. I think we are sort of rolling along a thin beam, human civilization. And it's very hard to predict whether we will fall off to one side or to the other side, whether we will fall off in the sense of the current condition ending because the world ends and humanity goes extinct as a result of some existential catastrophe, or whether we will roll off to the other side and have a kind of phenomenal utopia in a technologically mature world. But what I think is unlikely is that we will continue to roll on this thin beam indefinitely. I think eventually what we currently take to be the normal way for things to be, the normal human condition, with scarcity and people going into work every day and struggling to pay their bills and all of these things, I think that is unlikely to remain the case indefinitely or for very long. I think it will radically change for better or worse at some point, perhaps within the lifetime of a lot of our viewers here.
Professor Nick Bostrom, pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and the timeline, the concerns, and also about the future of humanity. Of course, the big idea is AI, and thank you for breaking down all those big ideas for us. Thank you for speaking to NDTV.
Nice to talk to you.